Bante ji, just out of curiosity, if you can share लॉन्गपॉड लियम का वहाँ ऐसे डेली स्केड्यूल कैसा रहता था? What kind of things he used to do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so it's currently quite varied. कुछ तो उनकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव जिम्मेदारियां हैं वाट पापांग के सिलसिले में. जनरली व्हाट आई फाइंड रिमार्केबल, कई बार आपने सुना होगा, धर साहब ने भी ये कहा है कि जो बेसिक प्रैक्टिसेस हैं वो अ, जो बहुत पहुंचे हुए टीचर्स हैं वो चालू रखते हैं एज अ एज एन एग्जाम्पल. तो एक चीज़ जो मैंने ऑब्जर्व की, दैट उनका जैसे फॉर इंस्टेंस सुबह का जो दिन शुरू होता है really still starts extremely early, sometimes as early as quarter to three, and for a for several hours in the morning he's just on his own, just quiet on his own. So in fact, as a digression, मेरे लिए वो सबसे valuable क्षण हुआ करते थे when it's just him and me in his kuti and no one's talking, he's just sitting quietly, and I'm trying to sit quietly. Typically he starts having visitors by about maybe 7ish, and somebody will, उनके कुछ जो ले upataks हैं, they'll bring him little small porridge or something in the morning, and then by about 8 is our main meal. So he'll turn up there, maybe offer a talk, offer a blessing, or after the meal he'll either rest, or जैसे कि उनकी एक अपनी शुरू से ही प्रवृत्ति रही है, which is to work on whatever project is ongoing. काफ़ी सारा, जैसे आपने सुना ही होगा, कंस्ट्रक्शन वहाँ पे खुद ही करते हैं, एंड ही इज़ द लीड sort of कंस्ट्रक्टर. जो बुक आपने अभी देखी भावना, उसमें आपने देखा होगा कई कई जगहों पे उनकी पिक्चर्स हैं ऑफ एक्चुअली डूइंग फिजिकल वर्क. And so typically that would last till evening, and बीच में he might have a break, sit down, drink a little something. और अगर कोई मिलने आते हैं, जो अरण्य विहार ट्रस्ट से भी हम लोग जब गए थे 16-17 में, तो ही जस्ट मीट अस एट द वर्क साइट. वहाँ एक मैट बिछी होगी, एंड ही स्पीक टू whoever comes. और टिपिकली उनके साथ दो या तीन या चार जो भी उनके साथ मंक्स रह रहे हैं, they'll be doing something or the other. For him, the evening really is having some allowable drink and whatever else there is, and having a long leisurely bath. So Lumbar Liem ke saath, the bath is another, say, what's the correct word for it? It's an engagement that many of us have great honor in participating. So he's basically sitting in a lakdi ka tub sa banaya hua hai, and a few of us are scrubbing him or pouring water over him and so on. So that's also a process where that gives us a lot of proximity. And after that, typically he'll receive visitors. जिस monastery में है उसके कुछ monks आएंगे. ये वहाँ अच्छी तरह से पता है कि अगर उनसे मिलना है, बातचीत करनी है, खास करके कुछ कुछ भी जो भी अहम बातें हैं, एबट्स जो आसपास वाले हैं वो उस समय जाते हैं मिलने उनसे. सो इन हिज कुटी ही विल रिसीव विजिटर्स एंड retire by about 9, if very late then 10. So that's really typically how it is. And there'll of course be exceptions. Some days is work all day. कई बार it goes on till night. कई दिन फंक्शंस होते हैं, आजकल फंक्शंस काफ़ी हो गए हैं वहाँ पर. So there are exceptions, but this would be really a typical day.
Thank you, Bante ji.
जी, please go ahead.
एक फ्रेज जो हुई है, realm of विपस्सनु, what does it mean? वो 9th सितंबर के एक्सपीरियंस
Yeah.
में नुपुर ने कहा.
Darsab, I was going to invite you to speak about that It seems to be some grammatical spin on that. So please tell us.
Teaching में आता है ना vipassana upkresh. When you combine it, A combined with U, it becomes vipassanu plesa. So he has put it only those words together to say कि vipassana में जो experiences होते हैं वो क्लेश बन जाते हैं अगर उसको हम wisdom से ना देखें. कहते हैं कि विपश्यना करते करते उस क्लेश में पड़ने का पूरा चांस रहता है कि हम उसी में बह जाए. एक्सपीरियंस ये हो गया उसी में बह गए तो साधना जो है अवरुद्ध हो जाती है. That's what he means. That's how I understand it.
Thank you.
Sir, in the text it is mentioned meditating, observing others' body. Can we understand, is it looking at the skeleton and doing meditation or something other way of doing it?
Those simple wells we can
Sorry, at least I missed what you said.
Yeah, we could not hear you, sir.
I said Bhanteji knows Lumpur well, so he would be able to tell what he means. But the way I understand it is meditation on the 32 parts or the, but maybe Bhanteji has something more.
One of the practices जो मैंने सुनी है that I've heard not just him but others speak about is that when and also Dharsab also this time referred to it. No, not this time, maybe the vast previous to this.
Last was, yeah.
When you repeatedly contemplate, for example, I'll just work with skeleton, ठीक है ना? When you repeatedly, so one of my fellow monks also was doing this, so he explained this to me. कि भाई, when you're walking, sitting, whatever, what for your own self, you're trying to sort of feel the skeleton at all times. So at all time, or as much as you can, you're trying to experience all of your motions in terms of your own skeleton. And similarly, then when you're seeing others, you're trying to, for the want of a better word, imagine, that instead of that body, there is just a skeleton. So I haven't done it myself, but what I understand is if you do it really repeatedly, then it really begins to actually manifest like that. So that's really how I understand it. And of course, you can extend it to other body contemplations also. So you can do it like he mentioned it in the text. No? You can do it in terms of corpses, or can do it in terms of 32 parts. I heard another person mention to me that one creative way of doing this for some other monk was that he started projecting or imagining the so we have the skin outwards and the internal organs. He started imagining the other way around, the internal organs outside and the skin inside, and to try to see anybody that he encounters and himself as if it is like that. So the thing is that if you do it repeatedly, then that actually begins to happen. I think it's a little bit like casinas also, no? If you repeatedly keep doing it, then that image really becomes very real in your mind. So that's how I understand it. There's a technicality. Please go ahead and or not technicality. If you have like your own experiences with casino, so you can explain that.
Yeah, you can do that. Take any external object and focus on it for a long time. Its mental image stays with you. And once you've developed in those practices, anything which you see for some time, you close your eyes and it presents before you, and you can concentrate on it. You can, for example, if you are able to set your closed eyes and you have see the Bodh Gaya temple and this periphery, you can sit here and go around and do the circumambulation of Bodh Gaya in your mind. So these things are possible with samadhi practice.
जी, please go ahead. Surenji?
So I have not read the complete biography, so I don't know whether my observation is really correct. I mean, he has talked about defilements very briefly, but not really extensively, as if that is the main objective. In fact, he says the main objective of practice is to practice. Um, so that is one thing that perhaps one needs to understand what is meant by that precisely. Secondly, again, there is no mention of jhanas, no mention of liberation in some sense. So that's very remarkable. But obviously, all this is implied in the background somehow. Just an observation I thought I'll share.
Ji. Surenji, actually, if we look carefully at what he's describing, especially in the 9th to 13th period, and then you can actually see many of those factors, those signs, you know. They many of the Thais, like I said in the morning, na, they don't necessarily use the same language, but I think the description of those experiences is actually quite obvious, quite clear what's going on.
That's what I thought.
Mm.
Thank
Ji,
you.
ji.
It was written, I was reading, written peace of seclusion.
Ji,
That is
ji.
the first, that is the characteristic of first jhana.
Okay.
Exactly this is the word. If you see
That's
the
right.
description of first
That's
jhana,
right.
exactly this word is there.
Okay.
And then second jhana onward is peace of concentration. You get tranquility through concentration. First jhana, you get tranquility through seclusion. So he's using the, I mean, because he's speaking in Thai, people are translating it and they're not using the scriptural nomenclature. So he's describing the experience in simple words so that people can understand. But you can, if you read between the lines, it becomes clear.
Ji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
जी राजेंद्र जी पूछ लीजिए पूछ लीजिए राजेंद्र जी आप पूछ सकते हैं
ये एक जगह मैं पढ़ रहा था we don't practice for anything, we practice for the sake of practice. Whatever it will lead to doesn't matter at all. Our duty is to practice. So we practice and try to maintain mindfulness and awareness. I wanted you to please explain it, I mean, in the context. But first dhyan, second dhyan, third dhyan, fourth dhyan. तो इस तरह की जो इन्होंने ये सेंटेंस बोला है इसका
तो वे भी ये डिस्कस हुआ था एंड जैसे आई थिंक एक चीज ये है ना दैट वी मस्टंट एज्यूम दैट एवरीबडी स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम जीरो तो थ्रू past practices it becomes very clear कि भाई क्या करना है ना तो हमेशा वो क्रम हम एज बिगिनर्स हमारे लिए वो क्रम दोहराना और वो बेसिक्स दोहराना ज़रूरी है एक बार वो स्पष्ट हो गया है देन जैसे कहा जाता है ना कि प्रैक्टिस इज गाइडेड बाय सती एंड पन्या और वो बिल्कुल यहाँ पे बिल्कुल स्पष्ट दिख रहा है उनकी सती डिटेक्ट कर रही है क्या क्या एक्सपीरियंसेस हो रहे हैं और पन्या के माध्यम से वो उन एक्सपीरियंसेस को इज एबल टू लेट देम गो। तो उनको क्लैरिटी है कि भाई क्या करना है। सो इन हिज केस ही डजंट हैव टू repeat that to himself. I mean, one of the things that often teachers caution us is that when we read biographies or experiences of great people, great monks, we mustn't, we should be careful to not directly extrapolate it to ourselves, क्योंकि हम शायद exactly वहाँ नहीं हैं। तो एक तरीका तो इसको यूज करने का एज इंस्पिरेशन, एज मोटिवेशन है, रादर दैन एज स्पेसिफिक टेक्निकल डिटेल कि वो ये कर रहे थे तो मैं भी ये करूं, वो शायद वन टू वन लागू ना हो।
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you like to add something? That's I'm basically picking up from what you said in the morning, so I'm grateful for that clarity.
बिल्कुल ठीक, इट सफाइस।
I was just thinking in my mind that when I went through the reading, that he was always so alert or observant that I think he did not ever go off the path. He did not let defilements ever overcome him. तो उसके लिए कितना प्रैक्टिस, कितना एफर्ट लगता होगा। दैट इज व्हाट आई वाज थिंकिंग।
एक्चुअली उन्होंने अपनी चैलेंजेस भी शेयर की हैं असल में। शायद इस बायोग्राफी में भी शुरू में शुरू का जो सेक्शन है उसमें कुछ है।
Initially he had mentioned, yes, but I think he was able to get over it.
और उसमें भावना, हाँ, और जो उनकी और जो दो किताबें हैं ना, शांति, स्पेशली जो शांति नाम की किताब है, उसको अगर हम देखें तो जो एक क्वालिटी निकल के आती है इज टू is for whatever hindrances there are to for them to come, and sometimes one of course succumbs, but then to come back again. So I think that's the main thing that at least I get from his life stories, and of course life stories of other great beings and great monks. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो नहीं आएगा, पर वो they are able to sort of come back and keep going, so to say, not let that defeat, not वो जो भी hindrance है, जो भी defilement है, not let that knock them down for a long period. In fact, in that respect, Ajahn Chah's stories are actually even more inspiring in terms of the sort of defilements he's describing, and he's describing them very explicitly, actually. But yeah, you're right. I think it's again, for me, it's very inspiring. कि देखिए ऐसा actually it's quite possible, and he's living in very basic conditions. So even more reason that many of us can pick up this inspiration and keep going, basically.
एक बहुत ही आई ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट इसमें आई है कि हम जो इस एक्सपीरियंस को दुख बोलते हैं वो भी हम ही ने कन्वेंशन बनाई है, सिर्फ इट इज ओनली कन्वेंशन। इट इज ए वेरी आई ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट फॉर मी। इट्स ओनली कन्वेंशन। I think it can help us to detach ourselves very fast.
पूछ लीजिए। ये जो 9 सितंबर का उन्होंने जो एक्सपीरियंस बताया और उसके ऑनवर्ड्स 13 तक एक्सपीरियंस बताया, इसमें कोई अटैचमेंट नहीं है, कोई अवर्जन नहीं है टू द एक्सपीरियंस। बट क्या पन्या की वजह से जो एक नेचुरल क्यूरियोसिटी या एनालिसिस या जजमेंट उठता है, डज दैट आल्सो गेट साइडलाइंड? एज इन बाय साइडलाइन आई मीन it doesn't in the way. तो पनिया इस लेवल तक डेवलप हो जाती है that the natural curiosity or natural judgment of an experience also is put aside. Is it like that? नहीं तो one naturally tends to question कि अच्छा ये क्या हो रहा है?
I mean, I'll speak from जैसे मेरा experience and then we can invite others to chime in. It also happens with us ना कि कुछ experiences whether formal उसमें या in day to day life when we try to live dharmically, um, if repeatedly some things come up and we are handling them repeatedly, you know, then we really know how to do it. Then it doesn't remain something that needs repeated analysis and description and so forth. तो अब ऐसा नहीं है that September में suddenly for the first time he's starting to experience these things. I mean, of course, some experiences must be unique, obviously, but जो उनकी समाधि प्रैक्टिसेस हैं वो और जगहों पे उन्होंने डिस्क्राइब की हैं. So he's at them for quite some time, and you can see the depth of पन्या के जब उतने significantly elating, pleasant, remarkable experiences भी हो रहे हैं, he's still able to, you know, bring it back. And you can actually see he's describing it in terms of two voices in his mind, है ना. एक तरफ तो वो एक्सपीरियंस और एक तरफ फिर एक आवाज उठती है, so to say कि ये भी उठा है, ये भी चला जाएगा. So clearly it's that. And we at least we can we can see it in our lives as well. कि कई बार कई चीजों में if some things come up again and again and we have developed the skill to handle them, तो उसको हम बिना ज्यादा processing analysis के on the go कर लेते हैं. Because that's how I understand it. Would you like to add something, Dharsab, or anybody else? Yeah.
Just
It is
because it was mentioned,
within our experience. Yeah? All this is within our experience that when we practice something for a long time, it becomes a part of our natural response. We don't have to think about that.
No, because it was mentioned specifically, I just took it that it was for the first time इतना deep ध्यान हुआ कि वो, but obviously पुराना कुछ रहा होगा. That didn't strike me कि ये पुराना हो. I just thought mentioned है specifically. तो maybe पहली बारी हुआ, फिर हट गया, फिर contrast हुआ, फिर अलग हुआ. I mean the same thing deeper वो rose again. तो वो मेरा वो है, my bad. I didn't consider that पहले भी हुआ होगा.
You must remember that 69 is 8 years after his ordination. He has been ordained for 8 years till 1969. And he has studied all the scriptures and passed all the exams which are supposed to be done by monks on the highest exams. So he has at least complete knowledge of the scripture, the theory, and everything. And obviously, a person like him would have practiced accordingly.
But sir, scripture study और वो तो थोड़ा theory हो जाता है ना, practice.
8 साल practice किया ना, 8 साल with his intensity of practice, you can see how intensely he practices. You can get a picture from this small description. So when things become clear, you don't need to go through the whole chain again and again. It becomes quite obvious. We need to remember the raft analogy. The teaching is like a raft. We used wisely, not to be carried on us all the time. So when you are practice and experience some things again and again and are sure about it, then you need to go through all the steps.
Yeah, I think he was saying that we don't need to go through all the nuts and bolts again and again. That's what he was saying. Sorry, that's how I just finished what you were saying.
Some noise in the background.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Also, I think it becomes very obvious when he says that he never wanted to go and talk to Ajahn Chah or make his presence felt or go closer to him, but he was there for a purpose, and that purpose was that he practices and learns much more rather than be noticed by Ajahn Chah. I mean, that's what I understand. And that makes it very obvious to me that he was not seeking that kind of attention, but he was trying to reach the goal that he had set for him.
बिल्कुल. और इनफैक्ट उनकी एक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक अभी भी है कि नॉट सीकिंग अटेंशन वाली एंड ऑल्सो नॉट गिविंग अटेंशन. तो उनकी मोनेस्ट्री में उनके साथ रहने में इस तरह का कोई बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी या भाव आता नहीं है कि जो इनके इर्द गिर्द घूम रहे हैं, जो साथ रह रहे हैं, they have some special whatever privileges वगैरह. He doesn't really encourage. It's just not that personality. I mean, often उनके साथ बातचीत करना केवल भाषा की वजह से मुश्किल नहीं, बट बिकॉज ही सो रेटिसेंट. कोई लंबा सवाल पूछेंगे, वो एक दो शब्दों में जवाब देके फिर चुप हो जाएंगे. So much of his time even now is just in silence actually even now. दूसरा ये जो अजंचा वाली बात है, अगेन आई थिंक उसमें ये भी बात सामने आती है ना कि ऑलरेडी ही इज इट्स क्वाइट क्लियर टू हिम कि क्या करना है. सो इन दैट सेंस द माहौल ऑफ वटपापोंग जो डिस्क्राइब किया गया इज बीइंग यूज्ड फॉर 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 व्हाटएवर इट इज दैट नीड्स टू बी डन.
I had an occasion, a privilege of meeting him at least couple of times while he was here in Delhi, and also to the land that was being bought in the monastery one. So he would talk to you, never looking at you. And you will, I always felt that he was engrossed in himself, but he was talking to you and he was meeting you. So it was a very different kind of experience I had when I met him, whatever 2 or 3 times that I had the privilege. And you could see that he was to himself. That was very, very typical of Ajahn Liem, which I have not seen anywhere else.